All right. Good evening, everybody. Let's see here. Let's get this off. So, we want to start tonight. A couple of things before we get into the ghosts of Timkovichi, because oh my God, it's like it goes in waves with this book, right? So you get like three filler chapters, then you get like three things happening chapters, then you get three filler chapters where nothing happens, and you get three chapters where things happen, right? So, that being said, we are going to start with Near Present, which is the guy Echelon Software, the guys that do Black Powder Red Earth. This is their new game, and somebody had been asking John, the guy, the creator there, about like, hey, what's the difference between Black Powder Red Earth and in Near Present? So I thought that this was worth to discuss. So, from the extremely high level, difference between Near Present and our previous title, Black Powder Red Earth, is abstracting a kill web versus a kill chain. Let's see here. Diving deeper, Near Present inherits significant structure from BPRE 28mm, Black Powder Red Earth. The reason for the new title versus a second edition is the changes we've made to the system require a very different approach to the air-land battle experience. The airspace phase is not just a new phase to isolate missiles and drones, it reflects the reality of smaller teams directing precision indirect fires without calling into a higher echelon. Weapons are fired from just inside stand-in range, and when launching, platforms retreat from the effective range of adversary weapons. This creates an entire potential for missiles and drones to be shot down without ever making it to the target area. There's no guaranteed UAS kills like in BPRE 28mm, and the fight for control of the airspace is going on throughout the game. So I actually have a copy of this rule book because I backed their Patreon for a quick second, and you can do that. I think to get you in, it's like $5, and it's a very different system than Black Powder Red Earth. It shares a lot of the same DNA, but it's very different. So. And one of the big things is kind of the air space phase. The next big update was to enable players to mouse hold their way through a fortified area rather than being channeled through doors. If you are not familiar, mouse holding is creating a hole through a wall rather than entering through a door. Detailed in Marine Corps Warfighting Publication MCWP 3-35.3, Military Operations in Urbanized Terrain. This goes both ways, allowing defenders to create murder holes and terrain features as the fight continues across the map. Collaborative combat troops, i.e. robots, provide very unique capabilities and offer significant customization, allowing for dramatically different capability on the table. Everything from a faster moving robot that's literally wielding akimbo cope cages to a slow moving bunker that is extremely difficult to kill and lay down massive lanes of fire. Both options can work when employed creatively. These changes were directly influenced by work with Marine NCO and Junior NCO who were part of the USMC IBX Force redesign and ongoing discussions with commandos who are conducting operations in Ukraine. The world building is meant to predict the realities of these forces that these forces will likely encounter once the first few days of all domain fightings have concluded. So that's a lot of words. I think I understood a good chunk of it, but basically it's to represent like, okay, this was because the origin of this was basically the People's Liberation Army Navy, Chinese PLAN, was creating these archipelagos out in the Pacific and managed to crash an asteroid in the Pacific that basically destroyed huge chunks of kind of the Peloponnesian archipelagos and stuff like that. And the U.S. Navy and the Chinese basically spent all their missiles at each other and created basically like, okay, everybody shot up, everybody shot out, So instead of going, chin to chin like they did last time, they're actually having it to where they have kind of these near peer forces where it's kind of these mercenary proxies, and they actually have the miniatures available right now. Um, these are all really spectacular. So let's see details. So this is kind of the U.S. mercenaries called Anchorage. Um, and the inspiration for these guys is actually really cool if you look at their Facebook page too. So obviously the miniatures are really, really sharp looking, extremely well detailed. Guns are extremely well detailed. Uh, Body armor, cloth folds, and just everything. Just chef's kiss. And then of course you get the robots, the Rubit, or the CCTs, or collaborative combat troops, which are basically, they have like a damage table, almost like a mech from BattleTech. It's actually kind of funny. It's really cool. It's a cool looking model with a lot of different options, because you can equip it with a lot of different options. And then you have the Chinese Hanku response team, which again looks really good. The miniatures have all this I don't know, greeble headwear, greeble on them that looks just spectacular. So, and then we have the Chinese, warbot. This just looks weird. It's just weird looking machine, but it's still like a beautiful miniature. So there's that. Let's see, anything. So I'm trying to get all my information ducks in a row. Okay. Can I do that? Yes, I can. Okay. All right. Go to the store. All right. Oh, so this is the other big news, is that the BattleTech starter box is coming out, and that is up for Oh, he's got him. He's got them. That's crazy. He didn't have them. Ares Games and Miniatures, totally super ultra mega not sponsored. He got like 200 of these, and he's already got 49 left in stock. So that's a great price. They upped the price on this by like $8, I want to say, because the original box was 25. So I think it was 25. Or it was 24.99. So it's a $5 increase from what it was before. So you're basically, if you buy through him, you get a considerable cost savings. So, but yeah, highly recommend Ares if you need that box. Now, apparently, what I'm being told by people that have had a copy of it, the original starter boxes and the Game of Armored Combat had a code on a piece of paper in the back of the box that was printed, and it would give you $15 off the Catalyst store. It was like 10 or $15 off the Catalyst store, which is enough to get like a PDF of something, right? So if you wanted to get the Battle Toolkit or Ilkon's Eyes Only, whatever, you can do that. Apparently, from a couple of the guys that I've spoken to that haven't, they either are not present, or they have the sheets, but there is no code printed on the sheets, which is deeply, deeply hilarious that something of that magnitude would go just unnoticed. But speaking of poor editing, we'll get to that here in a sec, though. Also wanted to share, we got independent games websites tripping over themselves. This is a board game, it's a board game in air quotes, in the same way that the games that GW sells, board games that GW sells, there's simply a way to package a new miniature with a board game stapled to it. So in this particular case, we actually get a Halo CE version Master Chief, and it looks really good. This is a rule card for the board game. The description that I have for this product doesn't say whether or not it's going to include a rule card for Flashpoint, which is the proper full-blown miniatures game for Halo that Mantic Games does, which I find kind of disappointing. The missions book, and then you get cardboard tokens for everything else. And again, I'm kind of disappointed with that because they just came out with miniatures for the grunts. They just came out with miniatures for the jackals. They have miniatures for the elites. They have a miniature for the majors. So I don't know why they elected not to use it here, which is kind of disappointing. And then that's the board, which is basically like a short board for it's like a starter board for a starter game of Halo Flashpoint. So, but also wanted to talk about the difference between the original game of Armor Combat as well as the new core box. So, as I understand it, as it has been iterated to me, the reason they chose the mechs they did in the new core box is because it was people's favorites, which is a great way, not like fans, not like fan favorites, but favorites of the designers. So fan input or making a good product, generic starter product for somebody getting the core experience of BattleTech that was just not in their fucking heads. So, and just pointing out the duality of these, right? So Game of Armor Combat is Battlemaster, Awesome, Locust, Commando, Catapult, Thunderbolt, Shadowhawk, and Wolverine. They're all iconic Succession War designs. We're flirting with the Rescene mechs, right? So we're flirting with that a little bit, and it gives you a good balanced starter experience because you get a little bit of everything. You get the LRMs, you get the SRMs, you get the large lasers, you get the PPCs, you get a fairly mobile assault mech. You can get one that's really not. It's like the big puncher, the Awesome, and then you have the Battlemaster, which is kind of like a mid to long, kind of like a mid-range brawler. You have the Commando that's a really like fast striker, and then you have the Locust that's kind of ducks and weaves. You have the Catapult, which is dedicated fire support. You have the Wolverine and the Shadowhawk that do different things. They're kind of like support punchers. And it's like, and you get this really great balanced experience out of the original Game of Armor Combat box. This fucking box, though, the core box, it's a Solitaire, a Hollander, an Eris, an Uziel, a Regent, a Rakshasa, a Madcat Mark II, and a Vulture Mark IV. So, to start off, the Solitaire is a monster. It is a little demon of a machine that will eat most mechs bigger than it alive. The Hollander has a Gauss rifle, and that's fucking it. It's a 5.8 light mech with a Gauss rifle. Like, you can say, oh, the Kit Fox has a Gauss rifle variant. Yeah, but it's also got 2 Clan ER medium lasers strapped to the other arm. It's effectively got an inner sphere. It's basically got an inner sphere PPC's worth of damage strapped to one arm, and then it has a head capper on the other. So, and it's also faster. It's also faster than the Hollander. I'm pretty sure it's better armored as well by a little bit. The Eris, it's kind of a fast striker mech, but it's got way more going on than the Uziel. The base Uziel has like it's got 2 PPCs, 2 machine guns, and an SRM-6 launcher. That's like 5.85, I want to say, just off the top of my head. And an Eris will eat an Uziel alive. A Madcat Mark IV versus a Rakshasa, that's no competition. The Vulture takes it every time. The Regent versus the Madcat Mark II. That one might actually be kind of even because the Regent is kind of a puncher, but the Madcat Mark II is also packing 2 dual Gauss rifles. That thing's a problem. And on top of that, it's a mishmash of Inner Sphere and Clan mechs, mixed tech designs, which is something that was like, yeah, this advanced set of rules in the starter box, fuck it, we ball, okay, Um, so it's like if you're trying to introduce your players to like new and returning players into a time period, and the two opponents that you have them fighting are McCarran's Armored Cavalry and the Federated Sons. It's like that doesn't make any sense. Why would, if we're doing the Ill Clan era, why wouldn't you start with the Battle of Earth between the Jade Falcons, the Republic, and and Clan Wolf? Or if you wanted to say like, okay, we want to introduce, so I don't know. So I can kind of see a tenuous strand of logic. Well, it's like, well, we don't want to introduce players to a faction that's been killed off. The Jade Falcons haven't been really killed off. The Republic of the Sphere Remnants are kind of still kicking around, and of course, the Clan Wolf is, the Ill Clan. So there's some merit to that, but I still think they should have gone. If they were going to go like full bore, they should have just gone Republic versus the Wolves, or the Wolves versus the Jade Falcons, and just call it done. But they didn't do that. Oh, speaking of the new rule set, they've already issued errata for it, and that book is not due out for a while. So it's like, I don't know. It's like, why wouldn't you have noticed these things before you sent it to print? Here's the actual errata. See if I can blow it up. So first printing August 10th, 2026. So it's like they want to be like, oh, it's gonna be a cleaned up rule set. It's gonna be tight. It's gonna be this. It's gonna be that. And it's like, no, nah. It's just gonna be the same old. Like, hey, print this out, copy and paste it over certain parts of your book. And this is the thing that, so following battle, so they added battle value to the rule book apparently. And my first question is, fucking why? Like, why? Why would you do that? I'm starting to be one of those people that, like, I appreciate it when game companies have like apps for their. This is probably just me being more modern mindset, but like, if you're going to have points, and if you're going to be chasing the balance dragon, like you're chasing like you're a heroin addict chasing a high. If you're going to chase the balance dragon, don't print your fucking points, because a new player is going to open up their book and say, oh, the BV of this weapon is XYZ. And then they show up to a game, because the other thing this core rulebook is trying to do is turn BattleTech into like a pickup tournament ready game, which is not a thing. That's going to be the next part of it. So it's like, damn, that's disappointing. And then punting skill rolls. So like, this is actually quite a bit. This is like 3 fucking pages of errata. Or this is, yeah, it's like 2. It's like 2 pages of errata already. And it's like, bro, you didn't figure this shit out before you sent the book to print? Like, what are we doing? Now, speaking of the person that edited this, or that helped write these rules, this is Keith Hahn. Keith Hahn. He's playing Masters and Minions at Gen Con. You know what else he's doing? He's drinking at Gen Con. You know what you can't do? You can't drink at Gen Con. Now, I'm sure there's going to be people in the comments saying, ooh, it's Gen Con, everybody drinks, everybody flasks it. Excuse me. It's like, yeah, but it's just something you don't fucking do. Like, if you're this, he's got exhibitor badges. He's there. He's there doing the thing for Catalyst. He's repping the company, and he's just, what is this? What is this shit? Buffalo Trace? Yuck. Anyways, so it's like he's representing the company. Gen Con says, you can't drink. You can't bring alcohol into the venue. This is Masters and Minions. This is at the fucking venue. So what are we doing, Catalyst? It's just, are we just doing whatever we want? Well, no, I shouldn't even ask that, because of course they are. But yeah, so that's and I'm sure, I've talked to a couple of people, and they're like, yeah, I reported that to Gen Con, and we'll see what happens. Nothing's gonna happen, because Catalyst speaks the right words. They're the woke retard company, and they're just like, it's like, oh, it's just a little alcohol, and Gen Con's probably going to be like, don't do that again, and they're just not going to suffer any consequences because of it. So it's just frustrating that it's like rules for thee, but not rules for me, but not for rules for thee, but not for me. So I don't know. It's just the way of the world, the gaming world, is that you can literally employ some of the worst human beings that break laws, do all sorts of crazy shit, and they just get away with it because they can, and because nobody punishes them for it, which is a sad state of affairs. But it's not a sad state of affairs? Well, it is a sad state of affairs. The Ghost of Timkovichi. So I start off, whenever I start talking about the Ghost of Timkovichi, I start talking off, mushmouth, start talking, basically summarizing the book so far and the major plot points to kind of get new and returning viewers, up to speed. So the prologue, we have Calendar Kell, who is in charge of the Kellhounds and also the Ark Royal Liberty Coalition, which is a mouthful. Basically, they're going around liberating planets that used to be held by the Jade Falcons, and are kind of creating like their own independent like buffer state. Against what? I don't know. So she shows up on the planet of Timkovichi, and in 25, let me check the date right, because I don't want to say that's wrong. Yeah, 3142, the Kellhounds were defending Timkovichi, and the Jade Falcons just basically started war criming the place, just orbital bombarding the city and trying to kill the Kellhounds however way she can. So she lands on Timkovichi with a Fortress-class dropship full of troops and vehicles and infantry, and she meets Brian Young's self-insert, this guy named Old Tom Frost. And she finds him in a city, and he's writing a song amongst the ruins of this destroyed city because he likes the vibe, and I'm not even joking about that. So he asks her, hey, are you here to liberate the planet? And she goes, lol, no. She drops off a monument to the people that were killed and then leaves, despite the fact that she has a drop. She spent the fuel to land the dropship, deployed troops, recalled the troops, then fucked off. And she just didn't want to feel like felt like she needed to actually do anything. So it's just like, I guess the book needs to happen somehow, right? I mean, this book didn't need to happen, but it is. So the next chapter see Colonel Mallory, who's basically a former Kellhound who was told to kind of go to ground, strike his colors, and rebrand as an independent mercenary unit to keep the Jade Falcons from finding them and just murdering them. He's not a great tactician. He kind of flies by the seat of his pants. He doesn't plan for shit. So they're on this planet called Kirkcaldy, working for a Steiner company to drive out the Jade Falcons left on this planet. It turns out it was 3 SIB cadets. So these 3 guys, 2 guys, 1 gal, that hadn't graduated their SIBCO training yet. So as they're organizing to leave, they get a message from, Calendar saying, hey, come home, come to Ark Royal. So Mallory tells his crew of short bus pass holders that the ghost dogs were actually Kellhounds. Dun, dun, dun. Do I have a stinger for that? No, I don't. Oh well. Anyways, so most of the people that are in the ghost dogs were Kellhounds, and this is not fucking news, and it's kind of like this weird open secret. So it's like I don't know why there was so much drama assigned to this particular point. So Mallory shows up at Ark Royal and is given his mission. He's going to go back to Timkovichi to liberate it and let them either join the Ark Royal Liberty Coalition or just let them be independent. And Calendar says, hey, your son Keith wants to join you. And Mallory is like, okay, cool. Can you give him a mech? And she's like, no, lol. And doesn't explain why he's not. Basically, there's no point why he's not. Why he's sent with them, but not given a mech. It's just a big question mark. So reuniting with the son causes him angst because he's written like a woman and refuses to take accountability and is conflict avoidant, which are the perfect traits for an officer of an independent mercenary company, right? Hank then finds out that the Steiners are already moving in on Timkovichi and the Jade Falcons are responding. The ones that are left on the planet. No one knows if the planet has fallen to the Steiners or if it's still with the Jade Falcons or even if the conflict has happened yet. So he has 9 days of lead time. 9 days of lead time to develop a plan, and he just fucking doesn't. So chapters 9 through 11 are just badly written mech fights with like no regard to how the mechanics of Banzai actually work. And then in chapter 12, we actually meet called Nighthawks. We meet the man, the myth, the legend, old Tom Frost. We find out that Tom Frost is the spider in the center of this web. He admits that he lies and plants false information to mess with the factions at play. And it's like, damn, you don't hate journalists enough. You think you do, but you don't actually. So, chapters 12 to 14 sees this Brian Young insert, this Tom Frost character, engaging in millennial food worship and coffee fetish, where nothing of consequence or conversation of import happens unless someone is like eating, right? Basically, Mallory and his mech warriors are given information to contact the local resistance on the planet. Wait, there was a resistance on this planet? Nope. There wasn't. Nobody told us about it. Calendar Kell didn't tell us about it. Nobody told us about it until this fucking chapter. That's the other thing that this book does a lot, is things just materialize because the plot requires them to materialize. So with this information, Mallory and his mech warriors go to different places of the planet to try to contact these resistance folks. They each take one of these clanner Sib cadets that looks like a clanner, acts like a clanner, has mannerisms and, the social graces or lack thereof of a clanner, incognito to these cities. And they basically are wandering around the city saying, hey, we're looking for the resistance. You seen them? Eventually they meet some people, find out there's more Falcons than they initially thought. There's a lot more Lyrans than they initially thought. Leading to the next chapter, 15, Stained with Blood and Whiskey, a chapter title with more edge than a pizza cutter. All edge, no fucking point. Chapter 15 is Brian Young's stab at Roadhouse, but it was written as if the original writers of Roadhouse had suffered massive brain trauma, and they thought that this was cool. So one of the mech warriors, Rufo, and a guy named Scotty, they go bar hopping to find mysterious mercs called Agile Rabbits. They're called something in French, but I don't speak Pig Latin. Those Wiles had risen up a 6 out of 7 twinkish bartender, them. They found out that these guys are working for the Lyrans, right? Chapter 16 is an admin chapter where Mallory and company kind of figure out what to do, kind of. Mech Warrior 17, Chapter 17, you get introduced to Mech Warrior Coot, the head of the Jade Falcons on Timkovichi, forcing back a raid, in air quotes, by the Lyrans, in air quotes. This is a ruse because it allows Chingmai, one of the clanners they captured on Kirkcaldy, to defect to the Falcons as an inside man to their defenses. Chapter 18, we get Just Make It Rain sees General Hellgate in all her social general glory, eating her feelings. Fucking millennial writers. And suddenly the Jade Falcons attack a fortified outpost and it's blown up. How? Don't know. It just does that sometimes. She begins to square up to launch an attack on the Falcons. Chapter 19, Cross-Legged Knights, called Cross-Legged Knights, has Mech Warrior Coot defending a convoy and rescuing defecting Chingmai. She explains that the Lyrans are lining up an attack and Coot scrambles to gather his resources. Chapter 20, Hatful of Rain, probably the best chapter in the book so far because it's that classic game of blind chess that Battletech authors do so often that is, for some reason, just tickles me because it's two different sides kind of figuring out how they think their enemy is going to behave and what they need to do to counter it. And then you see the chapters happen afterwards and it kind of resolves that game of blind chess. The resolution to that game of blind chess is retarded. And that gives us to chapter 21, Rains in the Hole. That's what she said. Mech Warrior Coot, one of the last surviving Jade Falcon mech warriors on the planet, he gives a speech to rival the opening of the movie Patton and discovers the obvious traitor Chingmai was obviously spying and being a traitor. So they have this moment where they talk about honor and disgrace and whatnot, and he gives her the Mozambique drill, and he's like sad about it and starts crying about this Jade Falcon that was captured, lied about defecting, and then turned heel on them immediately. That's not how clanner honor works. He wouldn't be sad about this. He's probably killed literally hundreds of people in his life up to this point, and some dumb traitorous Sib cadet is not gonna change anything for him. Then we get chapter 23 and 22, which is This Is War. Basically, it's just bad mech fighting, and it's rainy. The Ghost Dogs attack the Lyran-held city while the Falcons and the Lyrans are squaring off at this other city. Coot and Hellgate kill each other after some underwhelming circle strafing. Like, literally, that's the way it's described in the book, is he jumps behind her, she turns around, he jumps behind her, he turns around. So, like, I guess Hellgate's initiative rolls were just really bummed that game. That's why she couldn't, like, reset the engagement. And then chapter 24, Beautiful Maladies. Now, keep in mind, chapter 23, at the end of that chapter, it's implied that Coot kills Hellgate because it still describes what his thoughts are as he's fighting her, and he has kind of this last PTSD vision of killing Chingmai in the opposing mech's cockpit because it gets a head hit. And my first thought was like, damn, Chingmai must have been having that fast acting PTSD. It's that new version, I guess, for this guy that's been literally killing people all his life, likely a lot with his bare hands in the Sibco. And yeah, I don't know. So we get to chapter 24, Beautiful Maladies. And if you didn't hate journalists before, you should really hate them now, because we have to old Tom Frost, the author's self-insert, meeting with what's his name? A guy named Bolger, who was a Kellhound that was present at the destruction in 3142. Did I get that right? Yeah, 3142, and basically like went to ground on planet as kind of like one of these resistance leaders, right? So he's in the governor's office because Apparently, all the Jade Falcons and all the Lyrans literally kill each other to a man, which is not how BattleTech works or how an encounter would even work, especially considering there was 4 lances of Lyrans versus 1 star of Clan Max. So, yeah. So, anyways, um, so basically, he's old Tom Frost. He's thinking to himself, let's see. Tom stood in what would have been the mayor's office, had they been allowed to elect one in the last decade, musing about how elegant Mallory's plan had been and how smoothly it went. Behind the desk sat Justin Bolger. Maybe he'd end up as the High Magistrate. There was no telling what there was no telling what was writ in the stars, but he certainly held the story for it in his constellation. Tom kept writing the details in his head until he could get to a data tablet and file it. Maybe he could angle things in Bolger's favor, but the Ghost Dogs were certainly the stars of this particular story. While the Lyrans and the Jade Falcons bashed each other into oblivion in a rainstorm in Istari, the Ghost Dogs, dressed up in their best Jade Falcon livery, walked right into Meyer like they were playing chess, then chased the rabbits away like the hounds that they were. So he's already constructing a narrative to help one party or the other, and it's like this guy has no interest in helping the people. He's just being an asshole. It's like this entire chapter, like oh, this guy's quirky and he's a scumbag journalist. It's like, no, this dude is an amoral sociopath. Like, it's bad. I just think, nah, dog, this is just so. Brian Young does this a lot with his characters when they're having kind of like an internal monologue with themselves. He adapts the writing to how that person thinks, which is an interesting idea in the hands of a better author. But Brian Young is not a better author. He is quite a terrible author, as a matter of fact. So, it's just, yeah, it's just bad. It's just bad. It's dreck. It's awful. So he's kind of continuing to kind of muse about the good and the bad about this the situation. What do you think, General? He asked Bolger. A great guy, bigger than life and badder than sin. Douche chills. I think we have a lot of work to do. Always, always. Can I print that, as it were? Tom turned to the window to Bolger in time to catch his shrug like a pitch. I thought you printed whatever you liked anyway, and I'm not a general. Tom scoffed at the admonition. Oh, come on now, General. You know I only ever print the truth. I recall many times where the truth was stretched and massaged. How about this? I only ever printed the truth as I understood it at press time. And besides, the spirit of the truth is always there. Punished Fink. It's very. This is from Brian Young, an author who identifies with he/they pronouns. So, and this part really makes this Tom Frost character just sound like absolutely evil. Keep in mind that this old Tom Frost character is basically the Brian Young author self-insert. So he's a journalist. Brian Young used to write for the Huffington Post. He plays guitar. Brian Young plays guitar. So it's like this is basically what Brian Young thinks. He says, "That's all I've ever tried to be. And now the narrative changes. I can turn in something that'll go out to the feeds, and this time the Lyrans won't censor it. Falcons won't either. So what do we need to start gearing the people up for? What comes next?" Tom brought a sing-song lilt to his voice that he quite couldn't help. There was an operatic quality to everything happening on Timkovichi, and even when the chips were down, the odds were against the people here, he still felt like it needed to come out in song. True and real, Punished Frank. True and real. So, whoop, sorry about that. My dehumidifier turned off. Let me actually address that real quick. All right, sorry about that. So, so he says that, and then Bulger says, "We have we have control of the cities for now," Bulger said, "but the real trouble comes with the fact that we've only got a few weeks before the Lyrans come back in force." So basically, they start kind of talking back and forth, riffing about like, "Oh, what do we do? What are they doing? What are the what are the Ghost Dogs doing?" And they're kind of going back and forth, and we kind of have some interesting back and forth and some character development from this Bulger character. It's funny. It's like he creates a character here. He introduces you to a character like Bulger or MechWarrior Coot. He does some really good character development, and then he immediately assassinates that character. It's like, bro, okay, all right. So they talk about joining the Ark Royal Liberty Coalition. So Tom said, falling into the chair on the other side of Bulger's desk, "You know, the problem around here is that there's been a yoke around our neck for a decade, and no one's stepping forward to take the lead spot. And it doesn't seem as though the folks around these parts, would accept signing up with Calendar Kell and her little Liberty Coalition. Not now. Not with the way the things they are. Not with things, oh, there we go. Not with things the way they are. But if the folks were going to accept anyone, I think it'd be her." Bulger tinted his fingers on the desk in front of him. "We don't need her or her coalition." "Maybe, maybe not," Tom said, raising his eyebrows so high it nudged his hand up a bit. "I've been thinking a lot about that. You know, we'd still be licking Jade Falcon boots if it weren't for her help. And we don't take more of her help, odds are good we'll be licking Lyran boots before the month's out. Early next by the latest. That writing's all on the wall." Bulger fumed, Kell ready to steam, and Tom didn't get it. "This doesn't seem like you." Tom pointed to it. Yeah. Tom pointed to him quick, almost like he was throwing a stone. "I thought you served with the Kellhounds. Don't you trust them?" "I did. I served with them while they were there. While they were here. Almost died with them too. And then after what the Jade Falcons did to Greywalk, the few Kellhounds who lived, men like Mallory, they just fled, and they left us to deal with the Falcons. They had a few things of their own to deal with, I imagine, getting destroyed like that. But they're back now." "They are," Bulger said, his voice glassy and sharp. "What happens next when they decide it's time to leave again, to take the next job, or when they need to rebuild because they're once again functionally annihilated?" So it's like you're actually getting a guy who's had 10 years to kind of sit with his resentment towards just being left in the fucking dust on this no-name planet to unscrew the whole kerfuffle with the Jade Falcons. And I actually think that's that's a good bit of character work. That's actually a great, that's like a great earned aspect to this guy's character. All right, good water. Tom sat across the desk from Bulger and kicked his leg up. "Wait a second, he already sat down." "Yeah, he already sat down. So why the fuck? So did he stand up?" "It doesn't say he stood up at any point." "Yeah, so he sat down twice." "All right. You know what you're saying might be true of the Kellhounds, but the way I see it, that dog doesn't hunt for the Ark Royal Liberty Coalition. Bulger stood and walked toward the window, almost like they were trading places in some small symbolic way. But what the symbol was, Tom couldn't tell. He didn't hold with that sort of thing. You might be right. That's a protectorate rather than a mercenary unit. At least that's what they're telling the rest of the Unisphere. Who knows, Tom said. They could still just be mercenaries playing government. That's just as likely. In any case, we need them now. Those Lyrans are coming, and they're coming in hot like the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs on Terra. They're the only help we've got, and we've still got the rabbits to deal with. Let's not forget all the rebuilding that needs doing. We'll be ready, Bulger said, his voice wavering on the line between confidence and lack thereof. He raised his forearm over his head and rested it on the glass, staring out at the city like it was a painting in a museum. We have to be. Hushvink, I wonder a lot. I don't have any of his books on digital, but if I did, I would want to rinse them through like ChatGPT or Grok or something like that, and say, does this seem like it's written by AI? Because this guy is insanely productive. He's put out like 4 books this year, like 4 or 5 books this year, including this one, and he's got more in the works. So it's like, I don't know how he can realistically keep up that style of pace, that level of pace, without some sort of AI help. So, chapter 25, 100 Bad Dreams. That's the other thing. Give me 1 second. 100 Bad Dreams. So, the other thing I found out about Brian Young is he's a Tom Waits fan, because I too am a Tom Waits fan. And you keep seeing Tom Waits lyrics and song titles pop up in various different chapter names. So it's chapter 25, 100 Bad Dreams, which comes from the song Clap Hands. So there's actually one of the last chapters in here is also a Tom Waits title, song title. So basically, he is, but he attracts pretentious pricks like Brian Young. I don't know why. So Hank Mallory starts meeting with his kind of department heads, and they're talking about, what went right, what went wrong. Let's see. So, okay, yeah. So Hank fell silent. He looked around the room, avoiding eye contact and trying not to get caught up in his own feelings. He suffered through enough dreams about how poorly things could have gone. He didn't need to put that on all of them too. I want to take a moment of silence for those lost in this conflict. Many of our allies and local resistance and civilians on Nastari were killed in the fighting, and their passing should not go unnoticed. It's incumbent on us to never forget what we're fighting to prevent, and from our forces, it is important to note the loss of one of our newest recruit, Ching Mai. He took the most dangerous part in this mission and paid for it with the full measure. So this is the first time that we've heard about any of these resistance people getting killed. It would have been nice to read about that. It would have been nice to read about them actually trying to take their planet back. That would have been cool. But no, they're not that important, I guess. They were important enough to write like a full fucking paragraph and like make the character feel bad about it, but apparently it was not important enough to actually describe the fighting that happened, that they did, that killed all these people. I would have loved to have read that part of the novel. That would have been very interesting. And this is the other thing about his books is like things just happen and he doesn't tell you about them until post facto, after they happen, right? And it's like it makes it really disorienting to read this book when you're going from, especially I have an outline, I have a notepad document uh full of these chapter things and like the beats that happen. It's like, hey, there's a resistance on their planet, on this planet. It's literally never mentioned until like chapter 12, chapter 14, rather, whatever. And then you have a couple of chapters of them just fucking around trying to find these people. They find these people, and then like one of them shows up again. Bolger is one of the other guys that shows up. Um, but it's like they don't actually talk about like, oh yeah, we had to, you know, we had to do this and we had to do that. And we had to kill the leftover Lyrans and we had to ferret out the last holdout Jade Falcons. Like that would have been interesting to at least, when you talk to these people would have been like, oh, we got a lot of our people paid the price, for this little plan of yours. So we want some goddamn acknowledgement, or just like to set that up for the reader, because it's never discussed in any of the chapters where the Lyrans or the Jade Falcons actually come to blows, and it doesn't talk about any of that with regards to the Ghost Dogs attacking where the Lyrans had abandoned. Like, none of that was talked about. I find it funny that when I was stationed in Hawaii, the random BattleTech fans I found had 100 times better stories from games than Brian Young. Oh, dude, yeah, absolutely. It's like it's hard to describe. It's like between him and Russell Zimmerman, they're just both terrible authors. Like their stories are like laborious to read. It's like I'm enjoying this, but I'm enjoying this in the way that somebody watches that movie The Room. Like, I'm enjoying it from that perspective because I'm just watching a train wreck in real time, and it's like I'm enjoying it in the same way as that. And it's like it makes me feel like that, man. If this bullshit can get published, I can get published. I can make some werewolf trap thirst book for the ladies. That's all the rage these days. Weekly dose of punishment. Oh man, yeah, we got our old boy Tom Frost back. Majopi. We got old Tom Frost, and he's basically lining it up to be like, this would be a bold choice, but I don't think Brian Young's gonna make it. If Tom Frost turned out to be the surprise villain, that he's just an asshole that was causing this chaos for his own gain, like that would be my like if I'm injecting this asshole into my book, and it's like, who the fuck is this guy? Why is he so goddamn annoying? And then like all of a sudden, like he throws off his mask like fucking Palpatine at the end of Revenge of the Sith. It's treason then. Like that would be an interesting story hook, right? But instead, I think this is just old Tom Frost is just Brian Young self-insert, and he's just acting like an amoral yellow journalist, and it's like it's kind of disgusting. I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Star Captain. Yeah, dude, totally. So, anyways, where we left off, chapter 25, 100 Bad Dreams. They talk about the brave resistance that fell in the fighting that was described nowhere in any of these chapters. And so he basically lays out to his people like, hey, we fought against the Jade Falcon. We kicked the Lyrans out of this town that they were in. The Jade Falcons and the Resistance apparently accounted for the rest, although that would have been cool to read about, but apparently not. And they're like, yep. They just got word that the Lyrans are sending the 14th Lyran regulars to the planet. And they're like, oh, which part of the unit? And it's like, no, dog, the entire regiment. So it's a scratch company of mechs plus some resistance mechs and whatever vehicles they can scrape together against the full regiment of battle mechs. How's this gonna happen? So there's one part where the Rufo character, who is kind of a dirtbag, he's the one that meets the bar they them, the bartender they them. That it's implied heavily that he's banging this person to get information out of him, because this person works at a bar where they have contact with the Agile Rabbits, the Lyran mercenary unit, or the Davian mercenary unit that's working for the Lyrans. So the Agile Rabbits seem to have retreated to Sage. Captain Nugent will working on that situation further with his contact, codenamed Blackmail. Rufo nodded sheepishly, and Hank's suspicion of Rufo being up to something renewed itself. But he'd had to remind himself repeatedly, Rufo was always up to something. Keep in mind, Rufo is a black guy too, so it's like this shit sounds hella racist. Yeah, it do be different. Yeah. Please contact me. Have a crab of pussy. Jesus Christ. Oh, dear sweet Lord. Oh, somebody's going to clip that. I hope somebody clips that. Rufo stood up. I'm happy to head back to Sage. Make contact with... This is just awkward. Make contact with my contact and see what I can see about the Agile Rabbits now that they've turned tail when their employers got taken off the board. But we'll see how that goes. Thank you, Captain Nugent. Ilsa proffered a hand and told him Rufo to sit. And he did so as she continued. So basically they're talking about, like, okay, we got this information saying that the Lyrans are coming in system, and Rufo pipes up. Next, you're going to tell us we have to fight the Black Marauder, the Bounty Hunter, and the Grey Death Legion all at once, too. And it's like, oh, get it? He referenced things in Battletech. Right? So it's like, Jesus, dude, come on, shut up. So they basically are like, well, we kind of have to have a plan here. So we got to meet with this Bulger guy and kind of get his read on stuff, and we're going to start planning what we're going to do when the Lyrans hit dirt side, right? There's a chapter break. Hank's drinking again. Don't drink, it's bad for you. Ilsa said, what's going on, Colonel? Same as usual. She took the glass, found it, which he found a bit of a surprise. Given the urgency of the situation, he expected her to tell him she didn't have time to relax. That's a messy sentence. I would have rewritten that. Hell, he expected her to tell him he didn't have any time for a nip of whiskey either. So basically, she goes through this whole thing of like, hey, you're off your A game. You should have killed those mercenaries when we had the chance, but you didn't. Why? Something's eating at you. And basically it's just like, it's my son. I'm so sad about my son. It's like, bro, you've got a fucking job to do right now. And I guess he's still having the sads from being on Timkovichi back in 42, so he's still having the feels about that. So basically they kind of have this back and forth, like, hey, what if Vedette Brewer shows up? What if this happens? What if that happens? And he's just like, we'll figure it out. My son, I'm sad about my son, and that's basically how that ends. And then finally, you have chapter 26. What's he building in there? Which again is Tom Waits reference. Um, so it's kind of like an admin chapter. It's really not much to say. They talk about like, oh, all the salvage they got from this and how they're going to organize it and what they're going to do and this, that, and the other thing. And that's basically the first, page, two to three, well, 3.5 pages of the chapter where they just kind of yak back and forth about all this stuff. And this tech named Agatha, Agatha stopped and raised a hand to Elsa. You know those Mallorys are a tough lot. They love hard but quiet, and they're too damn stubborn for their own good. You can say that again. Just as Elsa was about to walk away again, Agatha spoke once more. And go easy on the Colonel. I'm sure you know how much this place haunts him. Elsa's eyes narrowed. Were you here too? She nodded solemnly. Suddenly, every year of her life was reflected painfully in her eyes. Hank's the one who got me out, actually. We both almost died in the bombardment. It was pure chance we were together, and she choked up, and Agatha had never choked on emotion. We saw some things here, Major. Things that haunt the living, and he's haunted more than most. How did you get over it? Agatha smiled. Who says I did? We all just bear our crosses in different ways, but you get along and take care of him. That's all. I've got this all bolted down. So, that's, and then we have chapter break, and Hank and his son Keith, they're in a vehicle, and you have some of the most like fucking high school drama dialogue that you've ever read in a book about this guy trying to like force a conversation with his kid. Your mother used to say the city was most beautiful after it rained. Mm-hmm, Keith said noncommittally. You doing okay? Hank asked, turning back to Keith. Keith straightened up with a yawn and opened his eyes. Is that an official question or a personal? Hank frowned. Both? Officially, I'm fine. Personally, I'd rather not talk about it. You can talk to me, you know. Keith nodded. I know. Hank looked excuse me. Hank looked left and right, his eyes darting back and forth, and returned his gaze to his son. Okay, that's fair. If you've got an issue with me, you can talk to me. That's all. It's better that you talk to me. For who? Keith's face tightened into a sour expression. So, it's like, it's interpersonal dialogue. Why are you doing this? You're not good at writing this shit. Why are you doing this? Well, for both of us. Keith's expression might as well have carved from stone as he stared back at Hank. I'll keep that in mind, Colonel. Okay, thanks. Hank had to force himself to keep from rolling his eyes. He didn't remember his days as a father of a tween very well, but he remembered enough to remember the screaming and the tears when he tried to do it back then. Keith went back to his silence, and Hank was at another loss. What do I have to do to get him talking? Hank picked a piece of lint off his slacks and flicked it across the seat next to him. How do you think Bolger is going to react to the proposal? Looking up at Hank, Keith pointed to himself, confused. Who, me? I don't see anybody else here. You didn't want my opinion when you were making the plan. So basically they go into like, well, you didn't. You asked my opinion, but you didn't use my opinion. I'm so mad. I'm so mad at my dad. I still remember when you took the PS5 away that one time. Sorry, this is really doing a number on my throat for some reason. Damn good water. All right. So they basically go back and forth about like, I gave you all these options, but you didn't take them. And he said, I wrote notes about the options, and I appreciated your input. So it's like, I genuinely want your feedback. You really want to know what I think? I think his reactor is going to breach containment. You're not going to get through to this without him blowing his top and speaking freely. You're going to deserve it. Tell me how you really feel. Keith rolled his eyes. It's a farce. I've studied Ghost Dog battle tactics since I got here. It's pretty much all I've had to do since I joined because I still don't have a mech, which is a farce within a farce. The Ghost Dogs run on wits and a prayer, and this time it seems we might be fresh out of both. So, dog, don't point out your shitty writing in your shitty book because it calls the reader's attention to your shitty writing. Like, I've been saying this the entire time I've been reading this goddamn book. It's like, these people are just disorganized rubes. They have no plan. And it doesn't help that this is nested in a character who's actively angry with his dad, who is ass hurt over the fact that he still doesn't have a mech. And it's like, bro, you asked Calendar Kell to be on this trip. Nobody asked you to do this. You wanted to be here. You knew what was going on. If you don't have a mech, you take that up with Calendar Kell because she didn't give you your fucking mech on the way out the door. So, like, really, dude? Come on. Like, oh, I'm so mad at my dad. He won't let me have my mech. Yeah. It's like, dude, take it up with Calendar Kell. It's not my fault. Hank swallowed. I'm afraid there might be some truth to at least some of that. Then do something about it instead of performing this wounded father routine again, would you? Look, I get it. I do. I know what you want, but I'm sorry, I'm just not there yet. So unless you have something important to say rather than these misguided attempts to kindle something that isn't there, I'm going to get some shut-eye while I can. Ugh. Had that conversation with more than a few women in my life. Like, dog, like, this is the thing. Like, all the male characters are written like women. All the female characters are written like men. They're assertive, they're authoritative, they have a good head on their shoulders, and the male characters are either degenerate sex fiends like Rufo, or they're Hank Mallory and his son, who are just like, man, I'm sad. Things are making me sad. It's like, bro, what's that? Day of Hero? No, not Day of Heroes. Fuck, this is gonna bother me now. I gotta look up because there's a book written, ironically, by Blaine Pardoe. Let me see if I can find this shit because this is bothering me. There we go. Backtick. It was not Impetus War. Measure of a Hero. So Measure of a Hero was your introduction to Archer Christophery, right? Who was a guy that survived Operation Serpent with the Operation Bulldog. I'm sorry, with I think it was the first Cathal Ulans. Ulans? Yeah, Ulans. So he was a survivor of Bulldog on Huntress while too many animal totem names. The Smoke Jaguars were going like full kill crazy, and like that level of trauma is addressed multiple times in the book, and it's done in a tasteful, interesting, introspective manner. Instead, these two assholes are just like, man, I'm sad. It's like, it's written by somebody who's never had something truly awful happen to them. This is the problem with a lot of these writers is nowadays they do not have a first or second hand experience with real awfulness in their life and having to deal with something truly tragic. And so when they go to write characters that have this embedded, deep-seated trauma, I hate that fucking word. Like it's whenever somebody says trauma to me, I'm just like, so it's just some shit you made up in your head. Like, so whenever somebody is talking about trauma these days, it's like my trauma. What was your trauma, dog? And my dad to get pizza one night, and he told me no, and it really hurt my feelings, and he made me make my bed, and I had to have meatloaf. That was my trauma. It's like, dude, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up, dude. But yeah, so these characters are just muling awful people, and I have no sympathy for any of them, actually. Um, so, anyways, Hank's mouth hung open in disbelief. What the hell kind of a kid did he have? Who did he raise? More importantly, who did Maggie raise? And Maggie was his wife, who is dead, I believe. Or did they end up raising a wolf in Kel's clothing? Oh, the deuce chills. Oh, oh God. Oh, oh God. Feel my balls crawl back into my body. It's just terrible. Ugh. Shaking his head, he shifted his gaze back out the window to the wet streets of Istari and the sun-kissed reflection of himself in the glass. A ghost against the wreckage. Oh God, he did it again. Oh, God, Jesus. Oh, oh. God damn it. Ugh. Douche chills. He just hoped the next meeting went more easily, and Justin was more receptive to the plan than Keith had been. Spoiler. Bolger doesn't like it. He has the big mad. Standing at the back of the room near where she came in, watching all this unfold, were Hank's son Keith and the so-called troubadour. Seeing Tom Frost standing nonchalantly in his pork pie hat, because of course it's a fucking pork pie hat. That was the other thing about this character that I missed. You know that Brian Young was like he's in his writing den, right? His little creepy writing den that probably looks like a murder shrine, right? He's probably got like a jar full of white liquid with a rainbow sparkled pony in it, and it's like he's like looking around like, what kind of hat does this guy have? I really want a pork pie hat. I think that would make me look really cool, guys. And he just wrote this asshole to have a pork pie hat, or he owns a pork pie hat. He sees it in his hat rack, or maybe he just puts it. You know what? I bet he does. I bet he puts it on his head, and he said, and when you know whoever's around, like, what the fuck is this hat? You look like an asshole. This is my thinking hat. I'm Brian Young. I wrote for the Huffington Post. This is my thinking hat. Like, shut the fuck. Anyways, seeing Tom Frost standing nonchalantly in his pork pie hat, Ilsa could think how this was going to look in the press. Sure, Tom might assume Hank and Bolger went way back and had a relationship with each other, other that included yelling. Okay, so that was bad. Then she could come to read the headlines now. Kellhounds and local leader come to blows. Oh, dude, the chapter where he wrote the bar fight. Literally, the guys, you know, they roadhouse their way out of this bar, and just before they leave, somebody throws a shot glass at them and it explodes against the door frame, and it's like, bro, what are we doing? A pork pie hat? Yeah, let's see here. Pork pie hat. Yeah. So imagine some dickhead wearing this goddamn hat who's like playing the spider in the center of this web of alliances and betrayals, ruining your fucking planet. Just imagine some dickhead that looks like Brian Young wearing this, and that's what old Tom Frost looks like. Shame for display. Anyways, Colonel, she pierced the din and let silence permeate for a moment before continuing. Major Escalera reporting for duty. They both looked at her as though she were a curiosity in a museum. Hank clasped his hands behind his back and turned to Elsa, who stood at attention. Major Escalera, how pleasant it is for you to join us. General Bolger smiled wryly. Colonel Mallory and I were discussing our plan for Astari's defense, given the imminent arrival of the 14th Lyran regulars. Imminent? Elsa asked. Tom Frost spoke in his low, gravelly voice. Looks like we got a blip on a jump ship. Word came just a few moments ago. They just arrived in the system. Like, that's the other thing about the way that Tom Frost reads, is that his dialogue has a lot of like apostrophe, like em, like instead of saying them, he says m. Yeah, we're gonna get them. We're gonna get. So like, I'm imagining this guy speaking in barely coherent English with a slight, ever so slight sling blade twang to it. You know what I'm saying? He was just a little feller. Mm-hmm. Jesus. So basically, Bolger is like, hey, we have the cities. We need to defend the cities. Hank goes, that's retarded. Doesn't Tom Waits have the same kind of hat? Tom Waits and a hat. No, that's no, that's holy shit. Holy shit, I think you're right. Son of a bitch. Son of a fucking bitch. Oh, damn. Get off Tom Waits' dick, Brian. Jesus. That's wild, bro. I didn't even like I've only ever seen like Tom Waits without a hat on, I guess, for some reason. So like this is blowing my fucking mind right now. Holy shit, dog. Wow. This blew my fucking mind. This is why I love new viewers to the stream, because you guys help my brain work better. It's amazing. I appreciate that. That's amazing. So, effectively, they're saying the Bolger and Mallory kind of are going back and forth, and they're saying, okay, well, Bolger is like, we need to defend the cities. We spent a decade trying to take the cities. We have the cities. We're going to defend the cities. Hank, who I actually think is in the right here, says, no, that's retarded, because we need to vacate the cities and do basically a guerrilla warfare campaign, because there's no way we're going to withstand a siege against a full regiment. So he's like, yeah, that's fair. But you know, basically they're yelling back and they're getting in the shouting match, basically saying like, hey, you're full of shit. We're gonna stand our ground. And Hank's like, and like, it sounds like a stupid idea, but I kind of understand where he's coming from. So the 14th Lyran regulars show up. They realize that the Lyrans that were originally there are all dead. The Jade Falcons are all dead. The Agile Rabbit, mercenary company, they're just like chilling there. The Lyrans might very well look at things and go, well, you guys, they might, if they try to stay, then the ghost dogs will basically engage in guerrilla warfare, which, okay. But if they don't, they might just say, look, the juice ain't worth the squeeze. Timkovichi is out in BFE. We've got a lot of other bigger fishes to fry, other than trying to keep an eye on you guys. So we're just going to leave, which might actually be, since the HPG network is still knocked out, which is still bullshit plot point of this era that we're in, of these eras that we're in. You might just say like, hey, look, we went to the planet. They They were pacified. That might actually be the winning move for this regimental commander. He comes back to the Lyran space and goes, "Oh, plants pacified." You know. So there is that. So basically, Bolger is paranoid at this point that if they don't defend the cities, or if they don't put up some sort of initial resistance against the Lyrans, that it's going to turn into Greywatch again, which is the city that the Jade Falcons bombed from orbit. They basically said, we're not going to let that happen again, and we're not going to let anybody do it. So if we leave the civilians rioting in the streets and causing civil unrest, and we get to use our coordinated guerrilla insurrectionist tactics to target Lyrans, and only Lyrans, they're going to pay a price and no one will have it. Bolger shook his head. What if they decide they get sick of our antics like the Falcons did? What happens when they start killing protesters and declaring martial law? What happens when the 14th decides to bomb our cities just to kill us all over again? Taking another step forward, Ilsa had the answer. With all due respect, General, the Lyrans aren't Malvina Hazen's Jade Falcons. The Jade Falcons aren't even Malvina Hazen's Falcons anymore. There's no reason to assume the Lyrans would resort to such cowardly tactics. Justin, I get that you just don't want what happened before it happened again. Neither do I. Trust me. I lost one family here already. I'm not planning on doing that again. General Bolger puffed up his chest. And what makes you the authority I was going to work on Timkovichi after failing so miserably last time? A chill permeated the room. That's actually kind of a cold fucking burn. I'm actually starting to like this general. I'm starting to like Bolger, and I'm starting to like Keith because they're both calling Hank out on his fucking bullshit. Hank closed his eyes and slunk in his chair, pinching his nose. Hank raised a hand to stop her. If you think for 1 second that I came back here to repeat history, if you think I brought my unit back here to suffer the same fate as those Kellhounds that I brought my own son back here to die, you're not the friend I thought you were. I understand there's no margin for error. I get that 42 still haunts us all. But it's a different inner sphere. It's a different Timkovichi. It's a different Lyran Commonwealth. And we're different kinds of Kellhounds. Beyond that, there's not a single Jade Falcon in sight unless there's something you're not telling me. So that's actually the first time where Mallory is kind of like actually like started to bite back against this bullshit and actually is expressing like himself in like a masculine direct way. So that's kind of nice. Scolded, Bolger looked away. It seemed every one of Hank's words had sent him centimeters deeper into the back of his chair. No, there aren't any hidden Falcons here. Then you're just afraid? Hank asked. I'm scared too, but we have a job to do and people to protect. Bolger shifted his gaze to Ilsa and his face softened. No longer was he the hardened veteran, but the politician. You weren't here then, were you? Ilsa shook her head. Before my time. What's your honest opinion of this stratagem? I think it's the stratagem. He's been dipping into the 40K too much. I think it's the best chance we've got. And frankly, this is the sort of work we excel at. I don't believe the Colonel is playing it safe out of fear. I think he's decided on the strongest play. Bolger's eyes flitted back to the Colonel, who stared back at him coldly. Keith remained silent behind Ilsa, but Tom Frost stepped forward, gripping a tablet. Whatever you're gonna do, you better do it soon. Word is the agile rabbits are on the move. Ilsa's thoughts went to Rufo, hoping this wasn't the reason they were moving. Any more details, she asked Tom. Not yet, just that they're moving. Ilsa sighed. Their timetable had advanced, and Rufo was the person handling the biggest emergency on the menu. Exactly what she needed. Well, Chapter 26, kids. Holy shit, that was bad. That was some This is probably some of the worst writing in the book, to be perfectly honest with you. Like, it's unconscionably bad. Like, John Hilfers is the person that is in charge of like kind of the editing and stuff at Catalyst Game Labs, at least the writing part of it, the fiction part of it. Like, so I'm not familiar with John Helfer's personal history. Is he blind? Like, is he reading this like in Braille? and he's not very good at reading Braille. Like, how can he read this shit and think it's amazing? Like, it's, oh my god, we gotta publish 50 of your books. This guy gets paid for this, allegedly. But yeah, this is pretty. It's I have no words. Like, at this point, I'm generally out of ways to describe how just diabolically bad this book has been up to this point, and how, like, it's bad enough that sorry, my throat's been really screwing with me today. 1 second. So you have, the male characters that are written with like females. You have female characters written like males. You have the one guy that seems kind of normal is kind of a degenerate dirtbag. Then you have his son, who's a mewling child. You have two characters that seem like they were going to be critical to the plot all the way through, but instead get killed off halfway through the book, the General Hellgate and the Mech Warrior Coot. You have the supportive secondary characters that just get introduced and, like, nobody fucking cares about, and, like, they have, like, very little role to play. You have Bolger, who has actually got something approaching like a fully developed human character. And this is the first time that you've had Mallory actually, like, push back against somebody in an aggressive way. So it's like, what the fuck is this book? The mech fighting is terrible. I can't iterate how bad it is. It's like, usually with BattleTech, the way that most authors describe things, you can visualize the combat in your head. Like, have you ever seen, like, those tactical maps with, like, a unit with a tactical symbol and how it's kind of drifting them around the map, and how your enemy's stuff is moving? Like, you can picture that interplay in your head. I can't do this with any of that. There is no fucking sense of relativity to the mech combat. The one time he tries to describe mech combat in detail was the Mech Warrior Coot versus the General Hellgate fight, and at the end of that, I could have swore Mech Warrior Coot was alive, but it turns out in the very next chapter, both of them are fucking dead. Instead of writing it that, hey, they killed one another simultaneously in a more interesting fashion, instead, it's just this muddy, awful mishmash of things happen because the plot requires them to happen. Like, I just do not fucking understand. It is the strangest goddamn thing. Yeah, I don't know. I've got, and you have this through thread of Hank Mallory, the Colonel. He's sad about Timkovichi, and that's still haunting him, but it feels very surface level. It doesn't feel any deeper than, like, I think about it sometimes and it makes me sad. It does nothing with that. It's like it's like a phantom problem he has. It's like this weird. It's like he's sad about it, but he's not so sad about it that it actually impairs how he functions. Because if this is something that he lived through that was really as horrible as other characters say it is, and it's described in I want to say Error Report 3152, 3145. There's Error Report. I can't remember which one. One of the error reports that dealt with kind of the start of kind of the Dark Age era. If it's really as bad as they think it was, as they're describing it, tell me how bad it was. Don't just say, oh, shit was bad, dog. It makes me sad sometimes. No, tell me. Like, yeah, I was fighting, the Falcons were pressing in, all of a sudden the sky caught fire, a skyscraper blew up next to me and buried half my lance. then a hospital blew up next to me and a fucking baby arm hit my cockpit. Like, tell me how bad it was, right? Like, don't just be like, don't, I don't know, just don't be like, it was bad and I get sad about it sometimes. Oh, dude, don't even get me started on Fox Patrol. Fox Patrol is dog shit. So the thing that pisses me off about that the most, right, is that to access the cockpit hatch, the whatever fuck her name was, it was a 10 keypad with a code to protect it, right? She tries four times. She tries a 4-digit code 4 times and it works. And it's like, what is the maximum number of combinations for a 9-key pad? So for a 4-digit code, it's basically 9 to the 9 cubed, so 6,561 combinations. What is the odds of solving it in 4 attempts? All right. So 4-digit code with repeating numbers allowed, maximum combinations, 6,561 combinations. Probability of an N4 attempt, it's a 1 in 1,640 chance, or a 0.061% chance that she gets it right in 4 tries. Yep. Really? He blocked you? He kept coming onto my page after I was shitting on his Fox Patrol book. He kept coming onto my page occasionally to kind of defend his work and saying it's not that bad, and just my community just fucking ate him alive. It was very funny to watch. And then we had Rusty Zimmerman come up when I shared his own words about him acting like a weirdo, trying to get, and I quote, horny teenagers to learn battle tech, which is like, that's a weird detail. Like, nobody thinks of teenagers in that way. Like, that's weird. That's weird that he would say that, right? So he's a frequent visitor to my page sometimes. He'll spin out. Then Anthony Scroggins will come in and say I'm grasping at straws, I'm conspiracy brain, I'm crazy. And it's like, well, okay, prove me wrong then. And he never can, so fuck him, I guess. But yeah, so these last 3 chapters were kind of a nothing burger. Well, no, there wasn't a nothing burger. It was just, this is the way he writes. You get like 3 big chapters and 3 little chapters, and you get 3 big chapters and you get 3 little chapters. And the bigger chapters are always the worst because it demands the most from him as an author, and he is just not that good of an author. Especially when it comes to the interpersonal communication, the fact that Tom Frost is basically a Tom Waits analogy. Like, I have that book. I have the Legends too. This is going to bother me now. Give me 1 second. Let's Google Legends 2. Well, this is part 2, I think. 1 second here. Opening. guess I never noticed it either. Like, I was too busy. Like, kind of reading her bio and like trying to understand how like they kind of like, come on. Yeah, man. Holy shit, dude, you're right. What the fuck is going on? Why is her head so huge? Ah, Spicy Catwoman says, "Don't believe your lying eyes." I, Detective Kirsha Verstal fan, a man after my own heart. That's my Oshi. Yeah, what the fuck? Why is her head so big? What the fuck, dude? Holy shit. I mean, 6 out of 10 would, but wait a second. Before I say that, I gotta. Born in 3126 minus 3152. 26. Oh, yeah, she's fine. All right, cool. Just had to double check that. Didn't want to get clipped out of context. That's for fucking creeps. Jesus. Speaking of which, my bad, JC. My bad. But no, we were commenting on Katie Ferraro's headshot here in BattleTech Legends 2. Her head is freakishly large. Like, look, she's got like her. That's just weird. That's weird. I never noticed that until Punished Fink pointed it out. That's weird. That's very strange that her head is that big. She's got a large noggin. But it's empty. It must feel great having an empty noggin. Oof. With this fucking paint scheme. But yeah, so just yeah, that's yeah, got sidetracked hardcore there. Oh, anyway, so yeah, if you're speaking of Kirsha, she had, it was her Friday live stream. If you turn into her Friday live stream, she actually watched the EDP documentary. Oh my God, that was horrific. So if you want to watch that, you should go watch her rewatch that, because that dude is a fucking creep. Like that, I can't even like. Now I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have even made that joke. That's weird. That's creepy. Ugh. So that's been 1 second on French fried mashed potatoes. French fried mashed potatoes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Majopi, the cupcake dude. Yeah, exactly. They actually, that documentary, I watched it without Kirsha's color commentary. That is such an extremely well produced documentary. Like, it's fucking crazy. The fact that they have like Chris Hansen, the man, the myth, the legend himself, talking to this guy, and this dude's just like, nah, I don't know, nothing's wrong. So it's like, that shit was wild. Every turn that documentary took was a fucking left. Like, I was not prepared for what was going to come out of that guy's mouth next, or what was going to happen next in that fucking documentary. That shit was just bananas. Oh, dude, that guy is so fat. You would need to get one of those. You need like a fucking feed him to a stump grinder. You need something more industrial than just a wood chipper. Oh my God. It's the dude's. It's EDP 445, and apparently the 445 was, he was trying to come up with a username, and he weighed himself, and that's how much he fucking weighed at the time. And it's like, God damn. Apparently he's on like kidney dialysis, so hopefully his fucking kidneys kill him before he can talk to any more kids. That guy's fucked. Jesus. It was really funny though because when Kirsha was watching it, she was talking about like towards the end of the documentary, this guy had a girlfriend, and she was like, "If you're blackpilling about getting a girlfriend, just make sure, just make sure that you know if you're if this guy can get a girlfriend, you could get a girlfriend. Don't blackpill about that." And I thought that was like, thanks. Fox Patrol chick is like 1.25. Yeah, it's very strange. Yeah, it's just the proportions are all wrong. Unless it's like one of those forced perspective things, like the classic Fred Durst, like head really close to the camera and a fisheye lens. Like maybe the artist was doing that. Maybe Katie Ferraro was a big fan of uh, alt rock rap. So I don't know. Who knows? It's hard to fucking tell. All right, it is getting late here. I have got an early start tomorrow, so I want to thank you guys for coming out, for joining me on the live stream. Again, no stream tomorrow because I am watching my parents' dog singular, just the one. Um, so I will see you guys next Wednesday. Hopefully, return to normal service. Thank you guys so much. Obviously, if you do yes, the Dugganing. um, uh, do the courtesy, like, share, subscribe. If you feel like it, you can support me via Ko-Fi or my Stream Elements link. I have my originally that Stream Elements link wasn't working. I think I've got it working now. If it's not, just let me know. Thank you guys very much for coming in, watching me, and hearing me rant my bullshit. So, thank you guys so much. You guys have a great evening. You guys have a good one. We'll see you next time.